episodes in, and if you've been reading Witch Hat Atelier ahead of the anime, you already know the story. But watching it animated on Monday was a completely different experience. There are things the anime changes, and I'm sure it was at the direction of Shirahama Sensei. Of course, that's the mangaka. And there are things it delivers so well that they stop you cold. Let's talk about both. But I want to say what's up, everyone. It's your girl Mel with Mel Otaku Talk, and I am bringing you a season of magic at this channel. This is not a chapter breakdown. This is a manga reader's guide to what the anime is keeping and what is changing slightly. Again, like I said, I'm sure that this is at the direction and agreement of Shirahama Sensei and what is absolutely coming to life on the screen. Now let's jump in. Let's start with the first night at the Atelier. In the manga, after a god tells Coco her test begins tomorrow, we cut to the next morning. Coco used the washroom. Atelier asks if she's done, and two of them had a conversation about a contraption and magical tools because Coco had just got introduced to the Toilet of the Void. And yes, we did not get to see the Toilet of the Void in the anime. In the anime, the morning scene is cut entirely. Instead, the anime stays in the same evening and gives us basically a welcome dinner for Coco. Atelier trying to make it a celebration. A god absent in her room. Coco asks to bless the meal for the first time. Then, the next morning, picks up with Coco reading about contraptions on her own. Again, the Toilet of the Void scene was not a part of the anime. And you would have gotten like another contraption. As we know, the shoes, the sylph shoes Kifri had on is one contraption, but the Toilet of the Void was the other contraption, and the water bubble itself was another contraption as well. Actually, there were a few contraptions introduced, but I wanted to say, and you've probably heard some manga readers say that the Toilet of the Void piece was not in there. Again, the next morning, picks up with Coco reading about contraptions on her own. Same information reaches the viewer, different vehicle. Basically, the anime chose belonging over world building, and it basically earns its trade. So it went with having a nice, warm community dinner instead of introducing a contraption called the Toilet of the Void. Another change that happened is after Kifri left Coco and her mom's hamlet, Coco and her mom had a slight conversation. Then they went back into their hamlet. In the manga, Coco says goodnight to her mom. It's as if a couple of hours have passed and it was night. Coco says goodnight to her mom, and then she goes up to her room. Well, in the anime, what they did was add a dinner or a supper between her and her mom to show that relationship again, and them having some mother-daughter time, showing dinner. Then Coco says goodnight and she goes up to her room, and then we know what she does next. She pulls out the picture book. She now knows how to use the ink and the pen, and that things are drawn now. So that brings us to a next slight change. I don't think it's a big deal. None of this is a big deal. I think it all works. So the first seal Coco draws, it gets a small but meaningful change. In the manga, she does deliberately close the ring and the spell activates. Her actions, her results. But in the anime, they had it to where she was slightly off, and then she kind of put her head down and the ink drops to complete the closing of the ring. So what the anime did was show that she didn't know that she needed to close the ring. And when the ink drops and it completes the closure of the outer ring, the drawn spell then casts. So it now gives Coco a slight learning experience. That was another slight change. Same outcome, but funnier, more chaotic, and of course, very Coco. Another change is the forbidden spell revealed. The forbidden spell gets a bigger change. In the manga, the seal Coco traces is never shown to the reader. You don't see it. You only see the consequences because the paper that she had in her hand was actually covering that page. In the anime, you get a clear shot of the seal on the page before she draws it, so you know exactly what it looks like. So I was glad that we got that seal because that is the petrification one. The viewer sees exactly, what she's about to trace. Then she traces it. Then the consequence follows. Like I said, in the manga, the moment is sudden. In the anime, it is basically inevitable, and you watch it happen. And another change is when Kifri was talking to her about the rule of having your memory erased. And basically, this is the petrification sequence itself and how it's structured. In the manga, Coco is struggling in Kifri's arm. At the same moment, he delivers the memory erasure rule. And in the manga, it is stated as an institutional, basically policy. Those who find out must have their memories erased. In the anime, those two things are separate. The struggle and the fall come first, built around a line already in the manga. Hold still. I don't want to drop you. And the anime makes it literal. She falls, he races down and catches her. And I think that showed a very intense, serious, and scary moment. So then once they are on the ground, the memory erasure, well, he grabs her and he takes her back up in the air. Then that's when the memory erasure conversation happens. It becomes a direct verdict aimed at Coco specifically. And now that you know the truth, you must have your memories erased. In the manga, like I said, it's more of a rule. In the anime, it is a sentence. Her response, please don't, lands completely different because of it. Now, here's what the animation is delivering that the page cannot. And let's take a look at the Pegasus carriage and the sylph shoes. The Pegasus carriage arriving at Coco's hamlet, the sylph shoes activating like turquoise or light greenish color mixed with a little bit of yellow and white lights. The sound of the levitation spell firing was so beautiful. It was an awesome audible sound that shows you the power of the magic when everything is drawn correctly and the magic wielder uses it. Kifri pushes off from the rooftop and pulling her into the air, pulling Coco into the air. You understand in the manga that the seal produces levitation, right? We see the seal producing levitation and we see the drawings of him in the air. Watching it and hearing the sound, you get a feel of how everything works and you get the audible piece that goes with everything, which is aesthetically beautiful as well as the sound is so awesome. Like Kifri using the sylph shoes and the levitation and the spell and everything, he crafted it, accurately, all the lines where they're supposed to be, everything drawn correctly. And you get the audible sound of the power of the sylph shoes with the levitation spell under the bottom as well. Another scene that I think is important, and they honed in on it really well, is the showing of Coco's steady hands and Coco's personality. Coco cutting cloth with steady hands, visible in full motion, so that when Kifri calls it real magic, the viewer has just witnessed the evidence themselves. A personality on screen, the flustered, no energy, the over apologetic personality landing in voice and movement in a way only animation can always capture. Next, let's talk about the petrification. When I read the manga, I thought the petrification was stone. This is why I love the anime. As a manga reader, this is why I love when the animation happens, because we do get a little bit more clarity. The petrification in the anime rendered as crystal instead of stone. Stone reads as permanent and heavy. Crystals catch light. They have structure, a luminous quality. Even in devastation, it fits this world's aesthetic perfectly. Magic is beautiful, even when it basically destroys. Another change is the crow image. The moment when Teddy and Richa call Coco the outsider who drew the forbidden magic, the manga basically gives you one striking panel. A crow mask figure with long arms looming behind her, and also something that looks like octopus arms on the manga panel. The anime builds it too. But it starts with a bare black tree full of crows that come first, like an omen. And then it morphs into the figure behind Coco, which looks like a huge crow, with the wing expanse. And what would be the face is covered in something like a mask. The tree is the atmosphere. The figure is the meaning. Together, they basically send a message. And I thought this was well done as well. None of these are accidents. Every change is precise, in my opinion. This is an adaptation that understands its source and it knows what animation can do that manga cannot. And that's why I said I'm sure this is at the direction of Shirahama Sensei. I'm sure she looked at it and said, you know what, we can do some things with this. And guess what? We only got 2 episodes and we're only 2 episodes in, basically is what I'm saying. So there's more to come. Again, if you're reading Witch Hat Atelier, you know what's forthcoming. You already know what this story is capable of. If you made it to the end of this video, remember to like, subscribe, and comment for more manga coverage at this channel. Let me know in the comments which moment from episodes 1 and 2 stood out to you. What did you like? Manga, reader, or anime only? I want to hear from you. I'll meet you at the next Pointed Hat discussion. Above all, let's keep talking manga. Thanks for stopping by and watching.